Good morning, students. I myself, Divakar Pandey from Kuntinagar Modern English School, Navada, and welcome to you in your e-learning class. Today, I am going to provide you my third video lecture of lesson 10 in history, and the topic is traders, kings, and pilgrims. In my previous video, as I have discussed you about new kingdoms and the along the coasts, and today I am going to explain you about the story of the Silk Route. As we know, the rich glossy colors of silk, as well as its smooth texture, make it a highly valued fabric in most societies. Making silk is a complicated process. It is not an easy process. Raw silk has to be extracted from the cocoons of silkworms and then it is spun into thread and then woven into cloth. Techniques of making silk were first invented, do you know in which country? In China, when around 7,000 years ago. Techniques of silk making were first invented in China around 7,000 years ago, while the methods remained closely guarded, sacred for thousands of years. Some people from China who went to distant lands on foot, horseback, and on camels, they used to carry silk with them, and the paths that they followed came to be known as the Silk Route. It means Silk Route was that route through which Chinese people used to come to trade silk. Sometimes these Chinese rulers sent gifts of silk to rulers of Iran and West Asia, and from there the knowledge of silk spread further in west part of the world. It means western countries. About 2000 years ago, wearing silk became the fashion amongst rulers and rich people in Roman Empire. Like this, when we study, we find it was very expensive in that time, as it had to be brought all the very way from China along dangerous roads through mountains and deserts. People living along the route often demanded payments in it means taxes for allowing traders to pass through that way. Now when we study the next part, we find the map 6 on page number 84 and 85. To try to look at the map which shows you the Silk Route and its branches. Do you know, some kings tried to control large portions of the route. This was because they could benefit from taxes, tributes and gifts that were brought by traders traveling along the route, and in return they often protected the traders who passed through their kingdoms from attacks by robbers. So these were the difficulties in Silk Route. Now we come to know about the next thing. The West Group of the rulers who controlled the Silk Route. Do you know who were? They were the Kusans ruler. Yes, the Kusans ruler were Western rulers who controlled the Silk Route. This question will be asked you that who were Western? It means who were the famous ruler who controlled the Silk Route? You will tell the Kusans ruler. Kusans ruler ruled over Central Asia and Northwest India around 2000 years ago. Do you know their two major centers of power were Peshawar and Mathura? It means Peshawar and Mathura were two major centers of Kusan's rulers' power. Taxila was also included in their kingdom. It means Taxila was counted in the kingdom of Kushan. During their rule, a branch of Silk Route extended from Central Asia down to the seaports at the mouth of the river Indus, from where silk was shipped westwards to the Roman Empire. Now, when we study, we find the Kusans were amongst the earliest rulers of the subcontinent who issued gold coins. So, who issued gold coins first of all? First of all, the Kusans rulers were who issued gold coins in this subcontinent. These were used by traders. It means these coins, these gold coins were used by traders along the Silk Route. Now we come to know about the spread of Buddhism. Yes, how Buddhism spread all over the world. It is very interesting point for us to know. The most famous Kushan ruler was Kanishka. So who was the most famous ruler of Kushan? The most famous Kushan ruler was Kanishka. Kanishka ruled around 1900 years ago, and he organized a Buddhist council. So who was the ruler who organized a Buddhist council? वह कौन सा शासक था जिसने बौद्धों की सभा आयोजित की थी? It was Kushan. So it was Kushan who organized a Buddhist council. And in this council, scholars met and discussed important matters. Ashwaghosh, whose name you might have listened to. So Ashwaghosa was a great poet who composed a biography of the Lord Buddha. Can you tell me the name of the poet who composed a biography of Lord Buddha? Ashwaghosh. Ashwaghosa composed a biography of Lord Buddha, and his composition was called, it means his composed biography is known as Buddha Charitra. So Buddha Charitra is a work of Ashwaghosa. Ashwaghosa lived in the court. Ashwaghosa and other Buddhist scholars now began writing in Sanskrit. A new form of Buddhism that is known as Mahayana Buddhism now developed at that time. This had two distinct features. Earlier, the Buddha's princess was shown in a sculpture by using certain signs. For example, his attainment of enlightenment was shown by a sculpture of the people tree. As we know, Lord Buddha first of all get his knowledge under the people tree. Now, a status of Buddha were made. Many of these were made in Mathura, while others were made in Taxila. So Mathura and Taxila are famous for Buddhist sculpture. The second change was a belief in Buddhism. These were supposed to be persons who had attained enlightenment. Once they attained enlightenment, they could live in complete isolation and mediate in peace. However, instead of doing that, they used to remain in the world to teach and help other people. The worship of Buddhists became very popular all over the world and spread throughout the Central Asia, China, and later in Korea and Japan also. Buddhism also spread to western and southern part of our country, where dozens of caves were hollowed out of hills for monks to live in. Some of these caves were made of the orders of kings and queens. It means on the order of kings and queens, these hollows were made to live in for monks. Others by merchants and farmers. It means merchants and farmers also involved to hollow the caves. These were often located near passage through the Western Ghats. Roads connecting purposes ports on the coast with cities in the Deccan ran through these passages. Traders probably halted in these caves, monasteries during their travels. So now we have studied about this. Now we come to know other things. Buddhism also spread southeastward to Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, and other parts of Southeast Asia, including Indonesia. The older form of Buddhism is known as Theravada Buddhism that was more popular in these areas. Now, thank you. Have a nice day. Try to study the next pages of this chapter. In other video, I will discuss about the quest of pilgrims. Thank you. Have a nice day.